Today, I'm testing Google's new AI design tool, Stitch. At the time of this recording, this tool is only a few days old. I wanted to know what Stitch's primary function was, so I asked it. Basically, it's an end-to-end AI design system that takes you from idea to high-fidelity UI to prototype to code. So in theory, I should be able to vibe design my way through early-stage user interface workflows. Well, we'll see if that's true. First, some context about the user. I work across design, marketing, and digital systems. I'll be jumping right into this tool blind as a first-time user. The goal here is simple: recreate an existing web page. I'm rebuilding the My Team landing page for the My Marketing Foundation. The goal is to match or improve on what's already live, shown here. Again, this was a blind test, so I was learning as I went. What you will see in this video is about 2 hours of work condensed down. Before starting to prompt, I selected the web option and the 3 flash mode, which is for high-quality designs in HTML. Since I already have a live page, I'm working with real assets and a defined brand system. If that didn't already exist, we'd need to solve that first. Having these assets up front is basically the align step of the MyArc system. You define your inputs before you let the AI run. I'll touch on that more later. From using other AI tools, I've found it's more effective to work in smaller pieces rather than trying to generate everything at once. So I started with only the hero section. I started by feeding Stitch a screenshot of the existing hero, the required digital assets, and the copy needed. In the first render, it ignored the assets completely and added its own elements. Not a great start, but structurally, it was blocking the content pretty close to what I wanted. After prompting it again, it corrected the output. It still added a few things I didn't ask for. This footer, this status overlay. Stitch was trying to go above and beyond, but after a few iterations, I was able to clean it up. At this point, I started to get concerned with the number of renders and the need to keep them organized. I started aligning them in a row and eventually numbering them to keep track. Stitch did not always want to put new renders where I could easily find them. I'm sure I was doing something wrong. I was also noticing that from iteration to iteration, Stitch would make small errors and adjust things that were not requested. Font colors would change, small spacing issues. When the requests were small, the errors appeared to be small. This was good and bad. I was glad to see that I could continue to build on what I was doing, but I also had to pay close attention. To manage the version control, I started numbering renders and organizing them manually. One thing Stitch was doing very well was responsiveness. The stacking and scaling behavior was actually pretty solid. Where it struggled was getting the hero image and text to behave exactly how I wanted it to look. This wasn't exactly plug and play, I still needed to guide it. Once the hero was dialed in, I moved to the next content block. This time I intentionally did not provide icon assets. I wanted to see how Stitch would handle this. The first render of this new content block completely broke the hero section I was already working on. That's where real instability started to show. However, I was able to fix this in the next round. A couple of things I discovered late. Each render shows the prompt that created it. This was very useful for tracking changes. Browser previews were better than the canvas previews, especially for dynamic elements. Selection tools inside the render helped guide corrections much more effectively as well. Good to know for next time. At this point, you can see I was able to get the hero section and that new content block working pretty well. I did have to abandon the rabbit hole I was going down to try to get the responsiveness of the hero image to scale properly. Maybe in the next video. The verdict so far? The output is strong. The process? Not fully stable. As the complexity increases, I'm already seeing reversion, inconsistency, and a little bit of loss of control. In part 2, I'm going to continue to build the rest of this page. I'm going to push Stitch a little bit further, add more complexity and more sections. We'll see if the structure holds up or if it starts to break with the additional complexity. Tune in for part 2. If you're interested in learning more about how to incorporate tools like this one into your marketing workflows, check out the link in the description.